Welcome to The Explainer. In this one, we're going to go deep, like really deep, inside our own minds to meet the invisible manager who's secretly running the show, especially when we feel frustrated or stuck. All right, let's just jump right in with the question. Have you ever stopped to think about who's really the manager inside your head? You know, the one who seems to be calling the shots when you get angry or just can't shake a bad mood? Well, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at something your mind produces all the time, pretty much on autopilot: stubbornness. And it's all being made in what you could call a kind of mental factory. This process has a name: Saṅkhāra, and you can really think of it like the factory's main assembly line. It's got two key parts. First, there's Sun, which is all about piling up the raw materials, our ideas, our preferences, our data. Then comes Khāra, and that's the actual process that shapes all that raw data into something solid and rigid. And here's how that assembly line works, step by step. It's so simple, yet so powerful. Step 1, Sun. You gather your data. You see a cool jacket and think, yep, that's my style. Or you decide this is how things should be done. Then, step 2, the Khāra process kicks in, working hard to solidify that preference, to make it part of you. And the final result? Step 3, a rigid mental structure, stubbornness, a little fortress in your mind that automatically fights off any new information that doesn't fit. Okay, so if there's a factory, who's the owner, right? Who or what is keeping this assembly line going 24/7, just churning out stubbornness? Well, it's time to meet the system manager. Now, first things first, let's get one image out of your head. We are not talking about some mythological demon with horns and a pitchfork. No, no. As you can see here, we're talking about something way closer to home. Think of it as an internal operating system, one that's constantly running in the background of your mind. And the name itself, Māra, is actually a massive clue to what it does. It's made of two parts. You've got Mā, which means a boundary, a limit, basically the whole idea of a separate self. And then you've got Ra, which is energy, power, even the joy that comes from that feeling of power. It's the fuel for the whole system. So let's put it all together. Māra is the operating system. Its whole job is to pump energy, that's the Ra part, into defending the boundary of me, that's the Mā part. And what's its favorite tool for the job? You got it, keeping that stubbornness factory, that Khāra process, running at full steam. Okay, now this is where things get really, really cool. This isn't just some ancient philosophy. We're talking about something we can now actually see with modern tech thanks to a fascinating AI study. So get this. Some researchers took the entire Pali Canon, these are the core texts of early Buddhism, and fed it all to an AI. Using a process called word embedding, the AI basically created a giant mathematical map of all the psychological ideas in the texts, showing how they're all connected, totally free of any human bias. And what did the AI find? This is just incredible. It placed the concept of Māra right smack in the middle of a neighborhood of related ideas, which it called Cluster A. And what else was in that neighborhood? You guessed it, stubbornness, craving, clinging, basically every mental habit that makes us miserable. The AI mathematically proved that Māra is the absolute center of gravity for our suffering. But the AI didn't just find the problem, it also found the solution. It's polar opposite, actually. Over in what it called Cluster C, we see a totally different state. It's a tale of two systems. In Cluster A, Māra's engine is on. It's always adding and defending data about the self, which makes the system really unstable and reactive. But in Cluster C, the engine is off. The main function switches to delete and accept, and the result is a system that's stable, calm, and peaceful. All right, so theory is one thing. The AI map is fascinating, but what does this actually feel like in our day-to-day lives? Let's look at how this OS creates system errors, what we experience as suffering, and a couple of everyday situations. Let's start with a classic 21st century tragedy. Imagine this: your brand new phone, the one you love. It slips, you see it fall in slow motion, and you hear that dreaded crack on the pavement. So here's what's happening under the hood. Māra, your OS, is running a program in the background. My phone must be perfect. That's the command from Cluster A. But reality just threw some new data at it. The screen is shattered. And that conflict? Boom, that's the system error. That hot, instant flash of anger and frustration, that's the error message. It's what's known as dukkha, or suffering. So how do you fix the error? Well, you can't unshatter the phone. The real fix is to change the program. You shift the operating system over to cluster C. You just release that rigid command. You accept the new data. The phone is broken now. And just like that, the system error resolves. Peace returns. Okay, let's try another one, a social one this time. You're at work or maybe with friends, and someone hits you with some pretty sharp, unwelcome criticism. It's the same pattern, isn't it? Māra's OS has a default command running. I need to be respected. People have to like me. And that command builds this kind of defensive wall around you. The criticism is just data, but it smacks right into that wall. And the system error that results? That feeling of defensiveness, of being hurt, of replaying it over and over in your head, that's Māra working like crazy to repair the wall. And that repair process is the suffering. And here's the kicker. The solution, the cluster C move, isn't to build a stronger wall. It's to just delete the wall entirely. If there's no command running that says I must be approved of, then there's nothing for the criticism to hit. The data just passes right through and there's no system crash. So, we've looked at the theory, the mind-blowing AI map, and how this plays out in real life. What's the one single thing you should walk away with after all of this? This is probably the most important shift in thinking. Māra isn't some bad guy you need to go to war with inside your head. It's a noise. Think of it like the constant low hum of an engine that's always on in the background of your mind. So constant, in fact, that you've probably mistaken it for silence. Yeah, that hum, that's the sound of the stubbornness factory, just chugging along, doing its job, maintaining the self. Most of the time, we don't even notice it. We think it's just peace and quiet. But when one of its commands clashes with reality, that quiet hum suddenly roars to life, and that becomes the loud, painful noise of our suffering. And that leads us to this final, really powerful question. We know what it sounds and feels like when the engine is revving and overheating, but what if you could just turn it off? What would that profound quiet actually feel like? So here's the takeaway. The next time you feel that friction, that defensiveness, that flash of stubbornness, just for a second pause and listen. That isn't just you being angry. That is the sound of Māra's engine doing its job. And the second you recognize that sound for what it is, that's the moment everything changes. Because now you know there's an off switch.